We're going to have over 150 people tonight from Wall Street and the financial community of New York, all St. Joe's graduates, celebrating the unbelievable achievements of you, our coach, especially in a sport that St. Joe's has excelled with crew, where they've had over, I don't know how many years, over 100 years of rowing experience. We're honored to have you, a St. Joe's graduate, class of 1984, right, from St. Joe's? Or?
Yes.
And BU graduate, class of 88.
Yes.
Married to his wife, Elizabeth, for over 20 years. Has 3 children. Zach's on his way to Vermont, but he's come back to St. Joe's to be the head coach. We're blessed to have a fellow who's working full-time in his own business and giving his time back to St. Joe's as a coach. Starting in 2006, he's had tremendous accomplishments. In addition to his 4 years of rowing, he's got a level 3 coaching certificate of U.S. rowing, and you've made an unbelievable commitment. One of the things we're most proud of here at St. Joe's is how many St. Joe's rowers have actually rowed in the Ivy League. We're also honored to have here today Kevin Cotter, who is a graduate of Princeton, 96 graduate of Princeton, majored in molecular biology, two-time Olympian and world champion, probably the foremost expert on college guidance and helping juniors and seniors find a way to get into college. And we're honored to have you here today, Coach. So thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.
But one thing I do want to start out by asking a question, Coach, is really how do you do it? And what drives you to make you do it? I mean, you tell me, you're the coach.
I think any coach has a passion for the sport. Any sport. It starts with your love of the sport. Following my college career at Boston, I got married, started a family, got into the family business, and took about a 12-year hiatus from the sport, and then was drawn back into it, competing at the Masters rowing level, which is rowing for old men, basically. So I was, and rowing is a sport that you can stay active in throughout your whole life. And that got me back into the sport, involved at Westside Rowing Club in Buffalo. And a need arose at St. Joe's just as my oldest son, Zach, was entering. So I stepped up to the plate, and I don't regret it.
Now, Coach, you have a unique history at St. Joe's. Was it your great-grandfather who played on the
Yes.
1897 team with Wild Bill Donovan, the most decorated soldier probably in American history, Congressional Medal of Honor winner, and founder of the CIA? Maybe you can tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I don't know much about Bill Donovan, but my great-grandfather, Valentine Sweeney, was a St. Joe's graduate, and my father went to St. Joe's, and I went to St. Joe's, and my son went to St. Joe's. So it is a nice tradition, and that's something that St. Joe's provides, kind of a timeless organization in the Lasallian tradition, that the people change, the teachers change, the coaches change, but the student and the individual that comes out of St. Joe's has remained the same.
Can you tell me a little bit about your high school coach at St. Joe's?
Well, I rowed at St. Joe's, and I can't tell you about my coach at St. Joe's because at the time Westside Rowing Club had burnt down, and all the programs were lost, all the high school programs, for a period of about 4 to 6 years. And then a group of motivated rowing individuals in the Buffalo community rebuilt the club, and I came into the high school at the period when all the programs were just beginning again. I rowed myself, and a clutch of St. Joe's students rowed with other Canisius boys, with boys from Amherst, Williamsville, and we all rowed together just as Westside Rowing Club. And it was about 1985 or 86 when St. Joe's reinstituted crew as a sport at the school.
Now, Coach, we have how many kids in the rowing program at St. Joe's right now?
approximately 40, which is split about 24 varsity and 16 freshmen.
And that has to be one of the larger sports at St. Joe's.
Well, it's the largest, it's the only three-season sport, obviously, and our numbers fluctuate because some boys do play soccer in the fall. We row in the fall. Some boys swim in the winter or wrestle and join us in the spring. During the winter seasons, Kevin, being an Olympic athlete, training for crew never really stops. You have to be in top conditioning, and our racing season starts early in May, so we have to train all winter to be in competitive conditioning.
And as far as some of the kids that are trying out for the team, can you describe, is there a typical kid that tries out for rowing? Does he have a lot of experience going into it?
No high school athletes, very few high school athletes have any rowing experience. Nationally, there is a little bit more of a movement to develop youth programs, being 6th, 7th, 8th grade pre-high school students, but there are only a couple of those programs throughout the country to develop kids into sculling and rowing. In the Buffalo area, Westside Rowing Club offers a summer Learn to Row program where you can get an introduction. It's a co-ed experience, and they get the kids on the water, put an oar in their hand, and they at least have a start. But other than that, no athletes come into St. Joe's being good at rowing.
And as far as like your typical body size, I mean, with rowing teams, you got guys that are 4 feet tall to guys that are near 7 feet tall. Like, can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, that's it's a fun aspect about coaching youth at the high school level. Again, going back to your experience at the elite level in the sport, the elite level Olympic athletes tend to be extremely talented to begin with, but also larger in size. People don't realize what you see on TV, the size and the caliber of an Olympic athlete. And at the high school level, though, we need coxswains to steer the boat, which can be a small person, 120 pounds and less. They're one of the most important people in the boat. They call the race, and they have control of the crew on the water. From there, we have lightweights and heavyweights. High school racing, you can race as juniors, you can race as seniors, senior athletes, senior heavyweights, lightweights. So there's a lot of combinations that are available at the youth level that makes rowing a great opportunity for many different size and shape athletes.
Now St. Joe's has won dozens of national championships in this particular sport, which I think sets it apart from other sports at St. Joe's. Is there other aspects about rowing that you think are different than the other sports that St. Joe's has to offer?
What I would say to that is that it ends up being a journey through the course of the year, and the kids will come in the fall. Some kids are missing because they may be doing another sport, and there's an air of excitement because the seniors are gone, and now who's going to step up? The freshmen have just come up into the varsity, and everyone's trying to feel each other out and, get a feel for, geez, coach, what's the priority vote going to be,
and how do you select? How do you select the boat? Is it the 8 strongest guys or the 8 best looking guys?
I can tell you that I'll tell you the same thing I tell them, and that's if you have a crystal ball for me and you can tell me who is or is not going to have any other interferences, like being in the school play or something, who's not going to fall during ski club and break their collarbone, who's not going to get in trouble with their parents and not be able to come to practice for 2 weeks. Through the course of a year, so many things can happen. So a boy can get sick just at the wrong time. And really what comes into play is seat racing, where you take boys out in small boats and they do a timed or distance piece. They're switched from one boat to the other, and then you do it again. And you can determine boat speed. And that's not necessarily always the fastest erg. It's not the biggest guy. Oftentimes it's the guy with the most heart, the most desire, can be a boat mover versus necessarily the biggest guy or the strongest guy.
And one of the things I think that rowing has sent kids to Columbia, Cornell, Harvard, Princeton. They've really had a great job in the college placement arena. Like, how do you feel about the 4 sets of classes that you have right now at St. Joe's and going forward? Do you think it's looking good, or?
I think it looks real good. We had a very small group of freshmen last year, but they were really a tight group, and they stuck together well. I had a large group of sophomores last year that are going to be the core of our program in being juniors. I only graduated 5 guys. Again, my son went to Vermont. One boy is going to stay local with his family at ECC. One's going to University of Buffalo, Marietta College,
Sure.
Cornell, and Harvard.
That's great.
Is where the guys went this year.
Two in the Ivy League.
Yes.
Yeah. Congratulations, Coach.
Well, it's the kids. It starts with academics, and one thing I always talk about with the kids in the fall is, and I put in our flyer for recruiting our freshman class this year, and what I said is, what do you need? And you have to have a desire for personal best academics and personal best athletics, and no fear. Come out and learn a new sport. So kids attaining Ivy League rowing can possibly open some doors because it's a little bit of a unique sport, but the kids earn that through the excellent education provided at St. Joe's.
With the travel demands for rowing, are all the races in Buffalo? Are they in Syracuse? Can you talk a little bit about where the kids race? Do they get a chance to travel, or?
Yes, we're blessed in Buffalo with location. New York is one of the largest rowing states for scholastic rowing. I believe only Florida or Pennsylvania may have more, or California. There's 3 or 4 states. We're right there in the top. So there's lots of opportunities, lots of races just within New York. Besides that, right over the border in Welland, Ontario, the government of Ontario has invested millions of dollars in the Welland International Flat Water Course. It's an international venue they're developing right in Welland. I don't know if you rowed at the World Championships in St. Catharines, but
I did.
Okay. Then you know firsthand there's a World Championship facility right in St. Catharines. We race in Welland. We race in St. Catharines. It's the Welland Invitational. At St. Catharines is the Canadian